The following is a transcript between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am, originally produced on December 6, 2020, under the constellation of Sagittarius, in the mental week examining through the solar plexus. Me. The hunch is a pulse. Well, a pulse that forces us in a direction even if we don't have much of an idea of the reason or the result. But what happens if we fail to have that hunch? That is, when we don't know or feel where to go. I am. This is what you call losing the north. Me. Yes, that feeling. It's awful. I know that there are people who live like this, who don't know where they're going and still find a way to live in peace with it. But others, as in my case, we are always marking destinations, and when you lose it, it is so desperate. I am, because you lose control over what you perceived. Your habit of being connected to things, of planning, of following the steps of your path with a specific destination, or at least with a north traced. Which means that when you lose it, nothing of everything that you've done makes sense. Me. This has happened to me a few times in my life, and I have had a really bad time. I usually have a very good location in my life. I know where I am and where I'm going conceptually and also physically. I know where my north is, the east, and therefore, wherever I go, I can guide myself by the shadows, lights, or stars. I don't usually get lost. And there were specific moments when it was as if my internal compass failed and did not point north, and I lost all kinds of reference, leaving myself vulnerable. I am. Every living being has an inner compass. They just don't usually get it. Me. How so? I am. All existing bodies is based on magnetic polar energy. This means that the positive and negative poles of an object, thanks to the electrons and protons, will rotate on each other trying to find balance. This magnetic pressure generates an energy discharge, which, because it is polar, is called electrical. Thus, each object, to a lesser or greater extent, has an electromagnetic field, for the simple fact of being made up of atoms. There are certain atoms that generate much more electromagnetic conduction, and therefore the iron that accumulates in the nuclei of the worlds and the suns generates much more magnetism, expanding an electromagnetic field that is projected thousands of kilometers from the Earth itself. These fields protect the harmony of the objects and keep them on axis. This axis exists between the negative pole and the positive pole, that in an object of great proportions like the Earth, you call it south and north, respectively. The force from the south nourishes the core, and from the north the axis is discharged outwards. This produces a toroidal shape, like an apple around the world, a structure that protects the Earth from other magnetisms, from other harmful discharges such as the sun's rays. The magnetic discharge of the external energy is what is seen at the poles as northern lights, which is nothing more than the largest ground discharge that you can see at a celestial level. The electromagnetic axis of the Earth is known as a geomagnetism, and it is born from the nucleus, the center of being, its plexus. From there are projected all of the magnetic filaments that, as if it were a gigantic magnet, order minerals such as iron align with this axis. Thus everything that possesses iron. Me. This is what allows animals to migrate and not get lost? I am. That's right. Following its magnetic instinct, the iron that inhabits animals has programmed the center of the brain as a compass that is guided by these slight changes in direction. Therefore, the faster the Earth's axis moves, the faster they will have to adapt to migrate, or they will die along the way. Me, like the whales and dolphins running aground on the coast and the birds losing their way or stopping migrating. I am, and humans have it too. Me, but we don't use it. I am, well, yes you do, but you don't pay attention. You have lost connection with the earth for many millennia, thinking that you are living on it as if you were aliens, but your bodies are still human. By rationalizing everything, your north ceases to be the North Pole and became your ideologies, objectives, and purposes. Now, if the magnetic pole of the earth moves with speed, all of humanity will enter into a crisis of values, of loss of purpose, of failure to meet objective. Where's the North Pole? Me, well, I know it to be true that most humans don't know, because I would say north, but couldn't point to it, let alone magnetic. This 2020 is a clear example of what a sudden change of the axis leaves us. Many do not know it, but in the year 2000, the North Magnetic Pole stopped being on the Aleutianes and the Ammonranes Islands of the Canadian Territory, Nunavut, to move toward the Arctic Ocean in the direction of Russia. But between 2018 and 2020, the pole moved faster than ever, shifting from the west to the east as it crossed the 0-degree meridian for the first time on record. I am, and this cannot be taken as a simple fact. Me. In 2019, aircrafts and ships around the world had to adjust their compasses to find the new north, since all of these machines moved on autopilot based on the magnetic North Pole. The passengers never noticed it, but for the pilots it was a matter of life or death, as air routes or ports could be confused. I am. 2020 is the year in which the North Pole passed from west to east and from one planetary hemisphere to the other, and for this reason, humanity stopped. For this reason, everything went crazy, and the direction was lost, the north, the logic. What you are experiencing is not the fault of a virus. The virus is just a symptom of something much deeper. Humanity must seek the new north. Me. That today it is aligned with the physical North Pole for the first time in who knows how long. I am. Matter and spirit align for the first time, and this would not go unnoticed. All of humanity lost its axis, and therefore had to align itself with the new axis, so there was no need to move. Me. The quarantine, well, was it part of the divine plan? I am. The universe takes all distortions in its favor and takes advantage of it to generate something new. The pandemic had two origins, one natural, arising from bats, and the other programmed by some human strategy. But the universe is in charge of doing its part. Bats are a symbol of good fortune, wealth, and luck. The wings were the inspiration for the totem you call dragon. The bat is the plane of ascension between the shadows toward the spiritual plane. Me. It is often seen as a negative animal in popular culture. I am. From this time, but not from past cultures, the bat in Asia, America, and the entire Mediterranean was a positive symbol. Thus, the universe used him to activate the crown of the world, the North Pole. Everyone was thinking about the crown. Beyond human errors and distortions of matter, you must always remember that for the universe, everything is sacred, nothing is bad, and everything is useful. Me, yes, I understand. I am. For this very reason, the 2020 quarantine was a gift for planetary realignment. All humans in their homes focused on themselves, facing their own shadows and conflicts, recognizing their axis, their loss of logic, of destiny, still thinking about the coronavirus, in the corona, the north, as the pole fitted there, lining up, preparing for the great arrival of the King on earth. Me, conjunction Jupiter and Saturn by the hand of Mother Moon. I am, on the solstice of December 21st, 2020, 8 years after 2012, a perfect cycle of time, beginning of the Aquarius period. Me, wow, everything was programmed, like a perfect compass in a cosmic clockwork. I am, and in that process, the inner compass of each human was being adjusted. The paradigm shift does not have to do with a new idea, but with the new position of the North. Therefore, you are on the axis of the world, putting in your day-to-day the intention of aligning everyone with their own axis, aligned to the axis of Earth, activating your own compass. Me. And how does one align with the compass beyond the daily alignments? I am, well, let's get to it. Compass comes from the Latin buxus, which means box, in English, compass. It also comes from the Latin and refers to come and to passus, that is, the set of steps to follow. Cosmically, consciousness polarized into unconsciousness, creating the internal and external. Beginning, the first great path of the world summarized all the others, which are traced by the subconscious as a network, the matrix. In the matrix, or universal network, there is no north, since each north is in the center or south of another extremity. Everything is a fractal. There is no direction. The north and the south, then, are not destinations, but impulses. There is no goal in the universe, for each step you arrive at or come from is another individual's north or south. It all depends on your perception. Thus, the spiritual compass does not work in the cosmos. Me. Complex. Where am I going then? I am in the center, of course. North and south arise from the core of the earth. Bewildered by the northern lights, you forget that it is the nucleus that produces them, not the celestial projections. It is your heart where everything is directed and from where everything arises. Me. So what good is the internal compass? I am, to create and choose paths. The manifestation only occurs by polarity. Your heart, to generate existence, needs to project outward and thus generate paths. Every north has a south, and you can never go to a goal without an opposite force of the origin from which you came. This is related in astrology to the north node and the south node, your destiny and your origin. You must rethink your history and your origins to rethink your goals and your destinations. The inner compass does not guide you to a destination, but rather helps you to identify the path that you have drawn for yourself among all those that exist. Me, that is where it connects with the hunch, because it implies feeling where I should launch myself. I am. All roads lead to Rome. But if you find yourself in Paris, it doesn't make sense to take the road to Vienna. The internal compass is what reminds you of your north, the path that you have mapped out for yourself. And that is where we return to your cosmos. Your subconscious saves each one of the routes that you have generated. Your unconscious keeps each pulsating intention, and your conscious keeps the purpose for which you started the journey. Thus, for your compass to work, you must begin to know the path traced in the subconscious, your life story, your roadmap, that of your family and other lives, and there continue through the unconscious, the beliefs, emotions that govern your life, intentions, the links and ties of attachment, positive and negative. And in this way, you will be able to unravel the conscious, the logic, and the why, the initial responses. Me, I am my north. I am my south. Me. I am the compass. I am. All hours and all directions live in me. Me. And only by consciously going through them step by step can I put them back together. I am. Weave the network of the subconscious and the unconscious and the conscious, recognizing that the compass within you has led you to travel the paths of your own fabric. Now it is time to recognize all of them, all the paths, all the guidelines that you have set for yourself, and remember that they all guide you to the center, to the one, me, the unity that lives within each one, to which all the iron in our blood, in our cells, points, to the magnetism of our interior. I am. After the eclipse of December 14th, the shadow will discover the last time of darkness that you will have to face, so that on December 21st, you can all be crowned. Unite the crown of Jupiter, the king, and the crown of Earth, which is Saturn, illuminated by the Divine Mother in the spirit of the moon. You will consciously take the first step of Aquarius. A new era begins. And that is our north.